All right, guys, welcome to the very first episode of Brighton Montessori TV. My name is Jake Chamberlain. This is my wife.
Leanne Chamberlain.
And we're the co-owners of Brighton Montessori School.
So we've been on a husband-wife journey together since starting our school back in 2016. We have 3 children. Very passionate in early childhood education. I've been teaching Montessori for the last 17 years now, as well as our children have gone through Montessori. So, we've been parents, we've been on the educator side, and now we're on the owner side. So we have a good realm of expertise, to say the least, and still learning as we go sometimes.
But we decided that we wanted to start this video podcast show to educate on the Montessori philosophy. It can be kind of a mystery. It's got a lot of misconceptions that people have about it. A lot of preconceived notions that people that don't understand it, they think it is this stuffy, this stuck-up, very, very strict world, when it really isn't that.
Right. And then there's the opposite side where people think it's the other extreme, where it's very free-for-all, loosey-goosey, not much that the kids are doing because they're all doing their own kind of thing, so it looks more of like chaos when really it's organized, it's structured, and it's opposite of what those extremists are thinking about Montessori. So true Montessori is really in the middle, very much. There's structure, but there's freedom, there's limitations, and the kids know it, just like you and your job. You kind of know what your job expectation is every day when you go into work, and you don't have a boss there that's making sure you're staying on track each hour, but they're checking in on you. You're having meetings to see if you're meeting a deadline, where are you at, how you stuck, what other additional support do you need. Same thing is true for a Montessori environment with the teachers and the children.
Great. So, kind of the structure that we envisioned the show to have, Leanne is the expert. She's been doing this. I don't think she even mentioned she was a Montessori student. So she's been an advocate and a member of the Montessori world almost her whole entire life. She's started as an assistant teacher. She worked her way. She has credentials. Infant, toddler, pre-primary, which is preschool age students, and now all the way through, since we've opened the school, she has just blossomed and grown and really become an expert in the Montessori world. I'm kind of bringing the perspective of the layperson. I was not raised, I never attended Montessori school. My Montessori knowledge comes from proofreading her papers when she was going to school. And then just watching our kids go through the education and seeing all the benefits that they receive from it. So I know that the word Montessori can mean many different things to a lot of different people, but we want to just bring awareness to what the truth is and how beneficial it really is. And not just to our kids that you can hear out on the trampoline right now, but without me really knowing it, probably through Leanne, we've been raising our kids with a Montessori tilt in our house from the time they were born. So the benefits that we receive as parents of Montessori children is incredible. Their independence, their willingness to continue to work through difficult things, their willingness to work together, watching them grow as leaders, and their confidence in everything that they do, it really makes our job as parents a lot easier. So we want to share some of those stories and just all the benefits that we've gotten out of it as we've grown as a family.
Right. And being on the side of owner and administrator and getting educated by families, coming in for tours. Part of my job now is not to educate the children so much, but to educate you. And coming in with questions, I'm able to be helpful in your search, because it is it's a difficult decision to make. And so some of the episodes that we're going to have here actually come from you guys. What people are asking on tours when they come in, what are they asking over the phone. That helps provide us insight as to how we can help serve the community and kind of get those questions answered prior to coming in and researching schools inside the building. As you're doing your research, you have it laid out, and our goal is to have all the facts for you. So, when you come in, you're thoroughly enjoying your experience, and what it really was meant to be on pen and paper. You see it in action in the classroom. So that's truly what we're hoping to gain here, and what we've started this Brighton Montessori TV on is from our families and parents that have toured us over the last couple of years.
So that's kind of what we're doing here. Why don't we give a little more background on Brighton Montessori? We opened the school in 2016. We opened that first year with 11 students. It was Leanne in a classroom teaching the pre-primary students, and then we had 2 staff members in the toddler program.
Right. And so that year we really just worked on trying to gain stability in our school, kind of grow, what were the needs of the area, and it was kind of just a lot of building a program that I knew about Montessori and could take it from the other places that I've worked at and bring it to life in our vision as of what we wanted. And so that first year was really about just kind of settling our roots and figuring that out. And then the following year we doubled in size and added a couple more teachers. And then our third year is really when we exploded and got to our capacity. So
so fast forward, we went from 11 students throughout year 1 to 94 by year 3. So it's really a testament to Leanne's passion for the Montessori philosophy, for building a culture where teachers want to come to work, where they want to work together, and drive forward our goal of bringing out the best in people. And it's our dream to be able to create environments where we're bringing out the best in our staff and bringing out the best in our students and their families. And we firmly believe that the Montessori philosophy does just that for everyone involved. So that's kind of the trajectory that we've been on, and we want to just share our journey, share our knowledge, and so let's start doing it. What's the topic that we've got to start with?
So one of the questions that I get often is, should I really send my kid to preschool or not? And I get it. It's a very difficult decision, especially when you've been with your child from birth. And the thought of letting them go from you for 3 hours a day, if you're looking for a half-day program, or 8 hours for a full day, is overwhelming. And thinking, I'm the only one that knows what my kids need or their wants, or can help them because that's all they know. And you're absolutely right. But the benefits of a child attending preschool, even at 3 years old, is something that really is so beneficial. Even if you just do a half-day program.
Well, let's talk about that. What are those objections that parents have? What are they worried about? What are the things that they come in where they're hesitant to allow their child to experience a new environment? What is it that's holding them back?
Well, I think for some is using the bathroom on their own. You know, we encourage all of our kids to go independently to use the bathroom. The expectation is that they're all toilet trained and can take care of, you know, their own business in there. And of course, if there's an accident, which there is going to be, that's when the teacher can help get involved. But, you know, even at 3, a lot of parents still go to the bathroom with their child, or their child requires their parents to come into the bathroom with them. Another one is
well, what do you think? What is it? Do you think that it's just a matter of they don't think that their child is capable yet? They're worried that their child isn't fully toilet learned yet, and they're worried that they're not going to be able to function in the classroom. And what is it that you ask of them when, because it's always talk about a partnership between the school and families. What is it that you ask parents to do for their child to have them prepared to be able to handle that on their own?
So when a parent is kind of like, oh my goodness, my kid doesn't go to the bathroom without me, I say, well, you know, start at home. Of course, in a public restroom, you need to assist your child into the bathroom. But even then, you can let them go into the stall themselves, and you're right there outside the stall. Already kind of distance yourself and let them have that privacy. At home, too, you know when you have to go to the bathroom, you know where the bathrooms are. Even preparing the bathroom, we tell our toddler parents, prepare your bathroom so that your child has books in there to read. They have a basket with an extra set of underwear, pants, and socks in case they do have an accident. It's all right there, so they're not overwhelmed. They don't need that much assistance because you've already helped prepare them for success. Or you've already helped prepare them for the fact of, it's okay if it's not perfect right now. Here's everything you need. So kind of helping them soften some areas in their already everyday existence and in functionality of their household and routine, that these are just some other simpler guidelines you can do to help prepare them for September, when they're age eligible to come to school. That's a really big one. And I think another one is just the anxiousness we feel as parents ourselves. We feel that they aren't ready. And yet if you ask your mom and dad, did they feel that way? I know when I asked my mom about it, she was like, no, I didn't feel that way because I knew I was raising you to someday have to go to school. And so that I think is a lot on us as parents. We want to coddle our kids and protect them from so much. But you can do that still by choosing the right fit for your family.
Well, that makes me think of with our kids. We have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 7. How old are they?
6.
10, 8, and 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Whatever. We have thousands of kids. It seems like
Right.
10, 8, and 6. So when they were going through toilet learning, it was like one after another, but they were all different, right? And that was a frustration that we had where Cruz, our oldest, what was he, like 2.5 or 3, so
He
right
was
around 3?
2.5 when he became toilet learned, completely toilet learned.
So then Brooklyn came.
Yeah.
She was like not even like 2, right?
No, she was toilet learned completely toilet learned before Caleb came along. So she was
Okay.
completely toilet learned by the time she was 16 months.
Okay, so then it was
16, 18 months.
so it was Caleb that was the frustration that we didn't
Yeah.
understand, right?
And
Because
then the third one came along, and by then you think, oh, I got this. I actually even teach students at school all day how to toilet learn, and we've already done it 2 at home, so we got this. And nope, he threw us for a twist. And it was something that it was, and the thing is he even had role models at home. He had his brother and his sister, and it was a routine. You get up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, wash your hands, we're going to have breakfast. I mean, it was built into our routine so he could see that. And really, how I established that routine was diaper changes. That replaced the diaper change and for use in the bathroom. But it wasn't until it just finally one day on his own, he was like, I'm not wearing a diaper again, going into underwear. And he never had an accident when he was toilet learning. Never. And it was at his 3rd birthday is when he finally made that choice on his own. And it worked out. But, I think it's just a lot of times we as parents feel pressure. But you also have to look at your child and what your child needs. So it's not what your neighbor's kids are doing or your sister's kids are doing or your cousins. Look at your own children. Your children may need an extra year at home. Your child at 2 might need more socialization than your 4-year-old did. You just have to really gauge your kids and really follow them and their needs.
well, and that's what I was going to say. That is that not the most Montessori thing ever,
Right.
where of meeting the individual child where they are at,
Right.
right? And like our frustration was, how come you're not doing it like your brother and sister did? But that's where we lacked the understanding of he's doing it in his own time,
Right.
and so for us to not realize that, I'm sure everybody sees that with their kids, and I think that's something that every parent says, why can't you be like your brother or whatever, but that's exactly what happens in the Montessori classroom. This child is at this point, this child is at this point, and that's fine. Because we'll figure it out. Whatever works for you is going to work for you. What's going to work for you is going to work for you, and you're both going to progress at your own pace. And so it's just the irony of that situation is funny.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the benefits of coming to preschool is that your child wanting to learn and branch out and socialize. This is toddlers, beginning toddlers, they want that socialization. They want to build friendships and relationships. They know how to build it. They've built it with you and dad and grandma and grandpa. They're ready to broaden that. And what better way to broaden it than with little people their size? So preschool is a great age to start those socialization skills and really help them understand positive social skills, which will be enhanced in a classroom and carried on through their grade school years. And that's something that a preschool program really does offer, is that social entity that young kids really seek. And we know that because being at home with our kids, we can only entertain them so much, I mean, we lose ideas, we get tired quicker, we can't keep up sometimes because we have other things that we need to be focusing on. And so it allows them the opportunity to get that with teachers in the classroom who know exactly what those kids need at each developmental stage. So that's another thing about preschool. And then when they leave preschool, they're very confident. Because they've been able to grow and learn and feel fulfilled. We've provided them fulfillment in their day, kind of like you. You have a routine every day, and at the end of the day, you feel fulfilled if you're a check marker like myself, you can check off boxes. It feels good. And so same thing with kids, and they can have that conversation with you about, I played with so-and-so, or my teacher taught me this, or look at this work I'm taking home today.
Well, and just that conversations like that, I think it can be surprising how, you know, they're able to do so much more than you think that they can. And I think the Montessori classroom allows for that to happen at a larger rate, because there's things that we see with our kids that, you know, what do you know, like, where did that come from, you know? But we're not holding them back. If you allow them to keep going, you allow them to keep growing, you give them something, another goal, you keep setting higher goals one after another, they continue to climb the mountain, and they continue to see that growth. And you see a 3, 4, 5-year-old student who are doing things that you thought 8 or 9-year-old students you're supposed to be doing. You know, you don't realize the potential that human beings have until you see that growth happen right in front of you, you know?
Right. And the thing is that in a classroom, it's taught, it's shown, it's modeled how to do those things. And so, and as Montessori teachers, there have been plenty of times in my teaching years that I've had to kind of like put my hands behind my back and hold them, because I knew something wasn't going to end well, but that was a teachable moment for that child. And I knew that in my classroom I had the stuff prepared for that big spill. I had rags, I had brooms and dustpans at their disposal. And guess what? There were 25 other students to come and help also clean up and wanted to. So the resources were there for them. And it is just that whole, you know, like our daughter today, she's 8, she literally opened up a jar of Ovaltine and it spewed all over the floor. And, you know, she immediately went and got the broom and dustpan, swept it up, and took care of it. And it goes back
and
to...
It's having that opportunity to fail. She's been allowed to fail at these things. You know, they're not big, you know, you're not letting her jump off a cliff, but allowing that to happen, and just the understanding that when something like that happens, it's not the end of the world. We're not crying over spilt milk. You know, it's because these things happen and it's okay. We just deal with it. I don't know. Those are life lessons I didn't learn until I was 35 years old. That it's okay that things don't go your way. There's ways that you can deal with it. And these kids are allowed to grow in that way at this young age. It's the most it's like my favorite thing that we get to see happen, is that growth of being able to deal with what life is going to bring, you know, and understanding that a failure is not the end of the world. It's just something to deal with.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that the teachers at Brighton Montessori, we want our students to be successful. And so, you know, you mentioned earlier about partnership, and that is one of our big core values, that we truly partner with families and say, you know, on your first day of school, I know this is hard. I see those tears and acknowledging it, and when you're ready to hand off your child to us, we will be ready. And know that your child will be sad and they might have a meltdown right there. But knowing that those teachers, it isn't the first time they've dealt with a child who's having a hard time detaching from mom and dad on their first day or their second day or their third week at school. We got this. And that's a nice thing, is that there's kids in the classroom who are also comforting that child too. And so
Yeah.
that's really where the benefits for these kids to come to school and see that there are helpers in this world that are their size, mom and dad size, and realizing that I can build relationships with other people that can also influence me in a positive way. And so, and that's something I think we all can relate to. We've had teachers or coaches in life that have influenced us more so at a time in our life than our parents or an aunt or an uncle. They're just as critical.
You know what? That I got to say, because that I think is like, I think that's such a cool analogy. I think, and I don't. Maybe you've heard of this before, but I've never heard of it spoken this way. But Montessori teachers are more of a coach than a teacher, right? The coach, we have practice. We go through these drills that prepare you for something bigger, and gives you the confidence and the teamwork and working together and figuring it out, and then go out and do it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what a Montessori classroom is. It's here's a small work that teaches this concept. And once you've mastered that, we move on to the next drill, and here's a larger work that builds on that, but prepares you for the next step. And before you know it, you're doing one of these huge works that's laid out on the floor, and that kid steps back and goes, "Look what I did!"
Right.
And that just hit me in my head. It's like they're coaches.
Right.
Maybe it's not Miss Ann, maybe it's Coach Ann, and right. I don't. But just the concept of that when you change that word from teacher to coach, it takes on a whole different perspective. Like when you think of your kid's coach, you're thinking of them building up their self-esteem and their leadership and their teamwork. You don't think of the teacher teaching that stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's the stuff that's happening throughout the course of a day in a Montessori classroom at any age.
Right. Well, in Montessori back in the day, they were called directresses.
Okay, and that's kind of the same.
It's kind of the same word too. Yeah. And because we are helping our students, pushing them, knowing that we know they can do it even before they know they can do it, and pushing them for it and teaching them that perseverance, and it's okay, and I know you got it. And then when they're done, it's like, look, you did it. How do you feel about that? And then giving them that confidence and bringing it back to them, and then coming back the next day in school and going, I want to do that work that I did yesterday. And that's when you see that like the aha in the kids. And so the environment when you walk in to our school is really for the kids. Everything is designed for the kids. It's at their level. The sinks are at their level. The works are at their level. The chairs are at their level. Because we want them to feel secure. We understand they're leaving home. Your home is prepared for them.
You probably know better than me, but that might be I'm sure that's one of the main reasons why kids in the Montessori environment have a less of a difficult drop-off time. It's not it doesn't go on for weeks and weeks where they're having to be drug in the door. They have all of these things that are designed, specifically for them, their size. They're given things to be successful at. They're not just doing something that it may take them weeks to come to a feeling success.
Right.
They're given these small wins. And so they're happy to come to school because they get to do something that they get to be good at.
Right.
Rather than have to struggle before they become good at it.
I always tell families when they come in and they bring their little one in for a tour and they're hiding and they're, won't look at me, and I say, oh, that's okay. They'll be slow to warm. But no sooner when the parents are getting ready to leave after their tour, the kids don't want to go. And it's because they see little ones that are happy and engaged and touching things that are really cool because they're meant for their little hands. And so I think the environment itself speak to the kids. It's kind of like a little calling for them. They have this little calling of, this I know is my safe space. This I know I can find something in here that I'm interested in. And it's not overwhelming where there's buckets of stuff and it's all dumped. It's neatly organized so they can visually see really cool things that they want to touch.
Let me ask you another question. I mean, we talked about why parents might have a difficulty with figuring out how to get their child acclimated to being toilet learned, but what are the other big objections that you hear from parents as to not wanting to bring their child to school?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean yeah, okay, but let's say they're toilet learned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is it that they're worried about?
I think a lot of times class size and ratio is another thing, which we follow Michigan Child Care Licensing. At 3 years old, the ratio is 1 to 10. At 4, it's 1 to 12, and at 5, it's 1 to 20. So when you walk in one of our classrooms, there may be 30 students in there, and there's 3 teachers. But you have to remember one thing, is that it's not 30 3-year-olds. And so, and that's something that I do point out to our families.
And that's because of the mixed age.
Because of the mixed age. So we're actually below level, because if you go to or somewhere else and you walk into their 4-year-old classroom, they might have 2 teachers for 20 kids, but they're all 4 years old, where we have maybe 8 3-year-olds, 9 4-year-olds, and the rest 5-year-olds. So, and you have to remember, each developmental age requires less one-on-one time, because they're very capable in knowing and understanding the ground rules of the classroom. So 3 teachers with 30 kids might seem like a lot, but it's not. The teachers are able to connect with those students every day, and the benefit of that mixed age group too is allowing the older kids to connect with the younger ones. So your child might be the only child at home, but now they have a big brother or big sister that they built a relationship with and go to for help. And that's another benefit of the mixed age group, and why Montessori believes so highly in that, is kids want to learn from other kids and they want to help. And so they actually become the teachers in the classroom. And it's kind of like what we call it to our other kids, it's like a rite of passage. You get to now be a helper to, little Susie here. When you were little Susie's age, you had a helper, and a lot of times they'll remember that helper's name because it made that impact. And it was one of the first relationships they built at school. So, you have to remember that it's not 30 kids, they're all doing their own thing, and that's how the teachers can still connect with those students throughout their work time, because a couple of kids might be with a teacher really focused on something. A teacher walks by a table where there's 4 kids coloring and overhearing their conversation and might include herself in it for a moment. Another teacher is, making sure that if anybody needs help with anything, that she's there to help support them. So it's not as overwhelming as what one can envision. 30 kids, 3 teachers, that seems like
Well,
a
yeah,
lot.
it's totally different when you hear that and then you see it. It's a totally different thing. When you have people saying, "Well, I didn't think there were that many kids in that room,"
Right.
Because they're all engaged.
Right.
So, okay, so toilet learning, number of kids in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other big one?
I think another one is discipline. Parents will often ask us, what is our discipline policy? And our discipline policy is really what I like to say are teachable moments, in that we're not disciplining, we're teaching in those moments. Of course, kids are going to have altercations. A toddler is going to bite another toddler. That's a phase that they all go through, and we have to figure out, why are they going through that phase, or why is that their reaction? It's not always a negative reaction to something. Actually, biting could be that they're just excited, and that's how they show their excitement. But it's letting the student understand that, your actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are hurtful. And when you push someone falls down. And now they're hurt, they could have a scraped elbow from being outside on the concrete and getting pushed down. Or their emotional feelings are hurt because a friend pushed them down. So we use a lot of times those are teachable moments. Look, when you pushed, your friend here, they fell down and now they're hurt. So, what caused that to begin with? So maybe there was a truck there or something, and they wanted the truck for the sandbox. And it's like, okay, well, right now your friend had it. So we can use our words and let our friend know that when they're done with the truck, you would like a turn with it. And what can you do to make your friend feel better? Yes, you can say, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry is just their words. It's not a real feeling. So we want them to have some sort of, emotional feeling for that as well. I do need to make it better. So maybe we have to go inside and get this child a Band-Aid. And can you help us get the Band-Aid for your friend? Or an ice pack, or whatever the situation is. And that's usually how we kind of use those teachable things, because someday down the road, when they're older, there aren't going to be a lot of teachers out on a playground, or you're going to have one teacher to 30 kids in a classroom. So the kid that got pushed down needs to stand up and say, I don't like that you did that to me. And the kid that did the pushing needs to hear that from the friend and understand that they don't like it. So we're all done here. The next time you can either use your words or you can move on to something else. But this kid already told you that they don't like it anymore. So that's really how we handle discipline here at our schools.
Perfect. So I think that's a few good things for people to understand that, and I think the biggest point is if you are concerned about your child attending a preschool, the most important thing is to go and see it. Go see it in action, even better, right. So that you have an understanding of what that environment's like, you can see how the teachers interact with the students. You get to have, how long do sometimes tour lasts? An hour?
Sometimes 20 minutes. It depends.
But as long as it takes for them for the family to understand what the school is like.
Right.
And that's, not every school is going to be a perfect fit for every family. Mm-hmm. And so that's important. Go and that's your research. You're concerned and you want to know that your child's safe, but you also want to know how are they going to grow. Mm-hmm. And what else is going to happen here? What are the benefits that they're going to receive? And the best way to find that out is to go get into that environment while it's in action. Don't wait till after you get off of work. Take the hour on your lunch break and go and see what is happening in that school. And that's what's going to give you the real comfort in making that decision that's going to be best for your child. So
right, and absolutely, and I always encourage families, because that's another question parents will ask on the phone is, should I bring my child or not? And my response is, it's up to you. I don't mind having the children come, especially when they're at the 2-year on up mark, because now they get to see the environment too. And so when you're talking about going to school, they have an understanding of what school looks like. Like, we're going to go see a school this morning, and you talk about school on your way home, because they don't know what that word is, especially if they don't have a big brother or big sister that goes to school. And even if they do, those schools are really big to them. So bring them in, and it's okay. Let them touch things. Let them get their own feel for it. But then I also have some families that are like, well, I know I can't focus because they'll just beeline it, and I want to be able to hear, and ask my questions. And so it's totally up to each individual family what you want to do. And we're okay with either one that you make. We always do for our preschool year, we always do a back to school night where they get to come in, see the teachers, see the environment before you drop them off for their first day. When we do that like a couple days before they start school, so it's still kind of fresh in their mind. In infant toddler, we do a time where parents can come in and meet the teacher one more time and ask some questions. So that provides another opportunity for parents to bring their child into. So we really want to make as much of the transitions going on very smoothly for the family and the child.
Perfect.
Oh.
Well, I think that's an awesome start.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to keep bringing more and more information, and hopefully it will help you in your journey, and give you some things to think about, and maybe just give you some comfort too that other people are going through the same things. So please go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when the next episode comes out. We'll be doing a couple a month at least, or more if we
Right. Have time.
if the topics keep coming up, and I know they will. So, but we appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one.
All right. Take care.
Bye.